everybody. Here we are again with another episode. I'm Tim from Las Vegas.
I'm Sam from the Pacific Northwest. Welcome, everyone.
That's right. Probably under a dozen inches of snow right now, Sam.
No.
Really?
No, we have no snow. It was 24 degrees outside this morning, and we had frost everywhere, but no snow. We still have some snow that's hanging on to the mountains around us, but here in the valley, no snow. Just a bunch of frost this morning, but and really cold, but no snow.
It's cold here in Vegas too for us, right? It's cold.
Oh yeah, what's cold? What's cold, Tim? Come on. What's cold?
I know. Just like people were saying it was chilly in Coco Cay, right?
I know. Well, I will say this: being in your swim clothes and being wet, it was kind of chilly, but there was a huge breeze going on. It was very windy. That's why, for me, it was a little chilly. You know, getting out of the warm pool and walking back to my cabana on the beach. No, I didn't have a cabana. But it was a little chilly because it was windy,
right?
Not because it was actually cold.
Right. So as we mentioned, we reference to Sam and I just got off the Dice Tower cruise, and if you've never had a chance to go on it, it's sort of like a bucket list thing, right? It's probably something you shouldn't do every year. It's probably pretty expensive, right, to spend all that money, but I think you should at least do it once and experience it once, because again, just the Dice Tower events in general, we label them as the friendliest gaming conventions, on earth, and they really, really are. But having the cruise with your thing is a totally unique experience with those two together, right, Sam?
Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, you were talking about how expensive it is and all of that kind of stuff, but I'm one of those people who are a believer in the idea. I don't know if it's an actual fact. I haven't crunched all the numbers, but I think the amount of money that one would spend on a normal vacation. When I say normal vacation, I mean you're not necessarily trying to pinch pennies at every single turn. You've got to get a hotel at circa $200 a night. The gas, rental car, food, 3 meals a day. The amount of money you spend on a regular week-long vacation is probably very close to what you're going to be spending on a cruise.
I would agree with that. I guess I was talking more, it's like something you're probably not going to do every year, right? That's what I mean. Sort of an expense.
Yeah,
like same with like Essen, right? Essen is like a bucket list thing for gamers, but it's kind of something, it's a little cost prohibitive, right? To go every year, the flights and the hotels and all that kind of stuff. But so the cruise is a tremendous experience. The Dice Tower brings their full library down there, which is extremely heavily moderated, by Wendy. She does a lot of work with that. And Tom, of course, puts the games in and out. But
around 2,200 games. Yeah.
And there were 4 areas to play. People were playing in 3 areas to play, right? The lower, the dining room, and up in the elite, whatever. And the people were playing all the time. And I played a lot of games, and I met a lot of really good people. It was a lot of fun.
How many games did you keep track of how many games you played? How many unique games you played?
No, and I should have, and I've already forgotten so many, because it was a lot of sleep deprivation. I didn't get to the room till maybe 3 a lot of nights in the morning, just so not a lot of sleep. So a lot of it's gone, but it was just fun because games are just around all the time. And if you can't play a game, I can go eat.
Yes. How many did you go on any of the excursions? Did you on the port days, did you go off the boat or did you stay on in game?
I stepped on the ship when I boarded it, and I stepped off the ship when I got off it.
Really? You didn't leave the ship at all?
Not at all.
Okay. Well, that's
I was there to game. I was there to game. Sure. That's what I did. And
no, that's no shade whatsoever, man. That's very cool. With the family, and Jess is one of those people that just loves going to see and experience new things. Mm-hmm. That was, staying on the boat all day on those port days was like, that's not going to happen, Yep. So we got off the boat every port. But we didn't stay off all day long. We did come back and do a little bit of gaming before dinner and then more gaming after dinner. But I would imagine then that your games played probably dwarfs mine. I only played 14 or 15 unique games. Now, some of those games I played multiple times, like Bomb
Right.
Busters, and we played multiple chapters of the Fellowship of the Ring trick taking game and all that kind of stuff. But I only played about 15, I think, unique games over the course of the cruise. And some people might look at that and say, wow, that seems like a waste that you went on a board gaming cruise and you only played 15 games. It's a matter of perspective. It really is.
What would you
Yeah,
say were like your top one or two gaming specific experiences on the
sure.
cruise?
Well, I'll tell you, I'll since I guess we'll just do two. I'll do two, and
Okay.
I'll do one new game experience, and I'll do one old game experience, and I'll do the new to me game experience um, first, and that is going to be Rock Hard 1977.
Okay.
I It was the first time I had played the game, and the reason this is a cool experience for me is because the person that taught me how to play the game is actually a subscriber to my channel, and him and his wife came and taught us how to play, and they were very experienced in the game, so it was a very smooth teaching experience. The game has great player aids also,
Hmm.
which I know publishers don't usually think about this, but
Yeah.
good player aids really make it easy to teach the game.
Yes.
Really, really, really. So if you're a publisher and you're listening to this, I used to work for publishers who were not too keen on putting good player aids in their games, and it frustrated me to no end because from a gamer's perspective, it's so much easier to learn how to play a game that has, at the very least, a good player aid. And that's what Rock Hard's 1977 actually does. It has a great player aid that lays everything out for you very succinctly, with enough information to where after it's been explained to you, you can reference it and know exactly what you're doing. So that was the first really cool thing about it. Secondarily, I really liked how thematic of a game it is. Now,
Oh,
it
right.
is just a worker placement game, and you're trying to collect sets of different things, and you're trying to do this, and you're trying to do that. But generally speaking, it's a worker placement or maybe a worker movement game because you only have one worker, and that's you.
Hmm.
And you have certain things that you can do in the day, in the afternoon, and then in the evening or late night. And it can be something as menial as going to bed early, or going to work, or going to audition, cutting a demo tape, signing a record label, going to play a big gig. All of these different things. Those are the things that you can do, and basically you play through. I can't remember exactly how many rounds. I want to say it's like 10 rounds or 8 rounds or something like that. Some even number of rounds, and whoever has the most cat or points at the end of the game is the winner. The game can end prematurely if somebody gets to 50 points
Hmm.
before the number of rounds clicks down. But it's such a good game, such a thematic game. There were some rumblings that I heard about the candy mechanic in the game, which is a representative of drug use, and how you can use drugs to be able to do more actions during
Uh-huh.
your turn in one of those different areas. And then if your craving gets too high and you roll too low when it's time to check your craving, then you have to go to rehab the next day, and all of that kind of stuff. It was not as offensive as some I've heard make it out to be. And to me, I look at it as a thematic element. It is part of that culture of being a musician and all of that kind of stuff. And being having listened to a lot of different documentaries from a number of different bands, not all bands did that. You know, there
Right.
were a lot of people who, you know, sure, they were partying and they were drinking, but a lot of them made a conscious effort to stay away from the drugs. And that's one of the cool things about this game. You don't have, the game doesn't make you use that candy to get extra turns, but really does
So
help.
yeah, so it was a good experience you had playing that game then?
Very good experience. Very good experience. We loved, and it's one of those things. One of the reasons it stuck out is because it's one of those things where it was a good experience, not just because of the game. It was a great experience because the person who was teaching us and his wife, they were great people to game with as well. So it was just a great experience all around, socially and mechanically speaking, as far as the game is concerned. So really enjoyed my time with Rock Hard 1977. Now I just need to get myself a copy of it so I can play it some more.
There you go. Fantastic. Well, I had the same thing, so we can do back and forth with the sort of new one, new to me, and one I played before.
Yeah.
And the new to me one was Arcs, which
Oh,
is
really?
arguably probably one of the top 3, if not 2, one hottest games of last year, right?
Yeah.
Lot of buzz. And I finally got it to the table, played with Dijon and Eugene. Eugene actually lives here in Vegas, so it was good to hang out with him and play some games, play a game.
Cool.
And I need to play it again. Not only need to play it again, I want to play it again.
That's cool.
However, it wasn't. I have to play it again. You know what I mean? Like games
Right.
that really have a visceral whatever feeling for you. You're like, oh, I'm gonna buy it. I need to play it again. You go into sleep and you can't think about it. I mean, you can't sleep because you're thinking about it. It wasn't that, but I'm like, yeah, I definitely need to play it again. I want to play it again. And I think it was okay. I think it was good. I don't know. Again, it's the verdict's still out, I guess would be a best way to put that. But it was a great experience. Eugene was a fantastic instructor. It was great playing with both him and Dijon. Sorry if you can hear my cat whining in the back there. Got my loud cat.
Don't worry about it.
And it was good. Sometimes, Sam, right? I don't know what your thoughts are, but when a game gets so much hype like Arcs had, right? It was just huge hype. You may go into playing it jaded, or I don't know what term I'm looking for, but you're kind of like, oh, I'm gonna see if this game is all it is, or whatever. You know what I mean? I don't know. So I don't know if maybe that was a little bit, but it didn't blow my mind. Let's put it that way. It was good. It was okay. I want to play it again. Like to play it again. And who knows? It could be one of those games that after I do play 2 or 3 times, it will grow on me and I will like it even more. But I just have to really applaud Cole Worley. He is a tremendously talented game designer with his games. And he does a fantastic job. So that was a great experience getting to finally get Arcs to the table. I'm so glad I did.
That's cool. I haven't been able to play Arcs. It visually reached out to me. I really like the way the game looks. I just haven't been able to play it yet. The good thing, for me at least, is that more often than not, the games that really get that hype are games that I probably won't be clamoring after anyway. So if I enjoy a game like that, it's a pleasant surprise. And if I don't, I wasn't expecting to anyway. My second game is a game that I have played many times in the past. And this one was a considerable and remarkable play of it for both an incredibly low and an incredibly high.
Okay.
So it was Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, wow. Okay. You got that out.
It was a 4-hour game of Battlestar Galactica. Me, JT, his wife Mel, Dave and Dirk, and myself and Jim Pridgeon. So it was a 6-player game. We were in a point where I'll just hit the low first. The low was I have been thrown in the brig. I am a human. I'm playing Apollo. I'm a human. And one of the other players that we know is human because his first character got airlocked by somebody else. So he had to pick another character. And when you pick another character, there's no way that they're going to be a Cylon. So you know that that person is a human. And so he throws me in the brig. And the reason he threw me in the brig is because JT's wife, Mel, was playing Starbuck. And so her and I are the only pilots in the game. So
Okay.
we're the only ones that can jump into a Viper and get out there and fight the raiders that are flying around Galactica. And we both have a lot of red cards in our hand. So she, on her turn, she pulls a crisis card that calls for red, which is kind of a rare thing in Battlestar Galactica. And so she's like, well, we've got the cards to do this. We can do it. It was a really high number. And I'm like, there's a lot of raiders. There's 2 base stars around Galactica, and you want to throw a bunch of red cards at a crisis that really isn't hurting us that bad? Come on, there's no way. And so I'm like thinking she's definitely a Cylon at this point. And Dirk is listening to all of this, and he's thinking in his head, if I was a human and I was, Starbuck, and I would probably be doing what Mel wants to do. And so Sam's looking like a Cylon right now. And so he throws me in the brig. Well, I'm in the brig for a couple of turns. And finally, it comes to my turn, and I draw a really high numbered yellow card. I don't remember the name of the card, but it's a really high number yellow card. And yellow is one of the colors that you need to get yourself out of the brig. And so I'm like, I'm getting out of the brig. So that's what I do. I play my card. I don't even read it. I play my card, and I'm like, yes, I'm finally going to get out because they're not gonna be able to beat us. They beat us. and Dave, the person who is like, he knows everything in and out about Battlestar Galactica, he looks at the card that I played, and he's like, well, I don't know who played this card, but if you'd have played this card before the vote, you would have automatically won the vote. And so I'm sitting here like steaming in my own filth of poor play because I have this feeling of like, I just tanked the entire game for the humans because we find out that everybody who's in the brig are humans at this point. And the only people out of the brig are the Cylons and the Cylon leader. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, I just tanked the entire game for the humans. We were so close to winning. Personally, I hate being that guy that tanks the game, especially for doing something as stupid as not reading the card that you played.
Right.
So I was like super inwardly just beating myself up. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did this. I just tanked the entire game. Things work out to the better. And the humans, by the skin of their chinny chin chin, hair on their chinny chin chin rather, we pull out a win. And it is one of those, because humans don't often win Battlestar Galactica. More often than not, Cylons do.
Right.
And it's like, so it was a credible low of like, oh my gosh, I just tanked the entire game. And then the incredible high of, oh, we actually still pulled it out. Yes, finally.
Nice.
So such a memorable experience. It's such a great game. And always pulls those memorable experiences, and just had a great time. So that's the second game that I had played. That's the highlight of games that I had already played on the cruise.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, Battlestar Galactica. Again, I like that genre of cooperative games with hidden information, and especially with that trader mechanic, because you do. I mean, it's one of those kind of things you have to play the game knowing or expecting a Cylon, but there may not be, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
But you have to play the way. And there's that tension from like the second the game starts, right?
Yes. And my buddy Jim plays Gaius Baltar. That's the character he picks. Sorry, dude, from the gun, you are a Cylon. I don't care if you aren't a Cylon. You are Gaius frackin' Baltar. You are a Cylon. And so, I'm like from step one, just laying into Jim because he picks Gaius Baltar. He's like, I always play Gaius Baltar. And I'm like, well, you're always going to be a Cylon, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's such a good game, such a fantastic game.
Very good.
Well, the one for me that I've played a lot, it's one of literally my favorite games. It's one of my backpack games. We should probably do a topic on that later. But I always have with me in my backpack, when I'm traveling around. was The Gang.
Oh, okay.
Have you had a chance to play that yet?
You taught me how to play the gang at the retreat this year.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I did. Now I remember. So yeah. So for folks who haven't played, it was a hot release at Gen Con. I stood in line 2 days, twice to grab the game.
Okay, all right. I was like, wait a minute, Tim. We need to
Yeah,
set your priorities right, buddy.
yeah, I did. Those are my priorities. It is a Texas Hold'em game, fully cooperative. And the first time I played it, and a lot of people say this too, it's like, how come nobody ever thought of this game before? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's sort of like there. It's like obvious.
Yeah.
But man, Sam, like it's one of those. It's just so much fun, right?
Yeah.
Because I played on the crew. I must have played, I don't know, 10, 15 times, because sometimes you lose 3 right away and you play it again. Sometimes you
Yeah.
lose 3, then you play it again, whatever. At least.
Yeah.
And it's just so much fun, because
Yeah.
whether or not you're playing with people who have played poker before, who haven't not, people make mistakes, people have different strategies, whatever. It's just so enjoyable.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, Tims and Cosmos at $14.99, $15. They price the game right. Everything about it's a 10 out of 10, that game for me. And
Yeah.
folks, if you haven't had a chance to play it, even if you don't know poker, you don't have to be a poker star, poker whiz or whatever to play the game. You can have a lot of fun playing it, and it's just it's good.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. It's funny you mentioned the gang because as I was in the Dice Tower studios, I was actually going through and kind of straightening up the library after we got it back into the studio. And the gang had kind of flopped over, and the rubber band had either broken or wasn't replaced back on it. So the poker chips that come inside that game spilled out, and we were actually missing. But it's just funny you mentioned that because I was, as I was going through, I was like, oh yeah, Tim taught me how to play this game at the retreat. So yeah, it's a really good game, and I just want to echo what Tim said. You do not have to know anything about poker in
Right.
order to play and enjoy this game. Now if you'll probably enjoy it more if you do have some experience with poker, because there will be less to figure out during the course of the game.
Correct.
But you don't need it. It's absolutely
Right.
not needed. They have really good table aids for. I don't think everybody has their own aid. I don't remember.
Yeah, you can. Yep,
But
everybody can. You
yeah,
have
they
to
do.
rank
Okay.
of hands and stuff. Yeah, and
Yep.
one
Yep.
of the nights we were playing, it was real late, and we were playing with Jason. And of course, since he's the cruise director for the Dice Tower
Yeah.
cruise, he was falling asleep at the table.
Oh dear. Did he win?
I don't remember, but it's one
Because
of those kind of things where everybody knows he works hard, right? And he's tired, he's up all the time, and it's one of those kind of things where, like, you don't want to laugh at him, but you can't not, right? I mean,
yeah,
there's 5 other people sitting at the table, and Jason,
yeah,
he was out,
dude.
right? And I had to keep. I'm like, Jason. He's like, oh yeah. Okay, and he just.
Yes. At Essen one year, we're playing. We went back to the, and this is before the Continental at Essen really started having a lot of gameplay area after the convention halls closed, and we were up in our rooms, just Dice Tower crew playing games together, and Jason. We set the game. We're using somebody's bed as the table, and we're just kind of like on our knees around the table or around the bed, and I think Jason is. He's next to me, and we're just kind of leaning on the bed and playing the game. And sure enough, dude falls asleep. And so we just kind of nudged him every time it was his turn. And he would wake up and do his turn, and then he'd fall back asleep, waiting for everybody else to go. Dude won. He still won. He slept 3/4 of the game, and he still won. I'm like, dude, you're too awesome to play. Man.
Again, folks, just to reiterate, if you ever have a chance, at least once, try to put that on your calendar to at least make one Dice Tower cruise. because sort of like coming to Dice Tower West, right? Not only do you have the great convention, but you got all that the city of Vegas offers you, right? And it's the same thing with the cruise. So not only are you getting, a world-class library with all the greatest, latest, hottest games, you've also got everything the cruise offers you. And let me tell you, Royal Caribbean, man, that ship, like we're not going to talk all about it, because we'll move on to stuff, but it's spectacular.
Yes.
It's just amazing everything they have, what you can do. So with that too, it's definitely experience. You gotta get to at least once.
Literally a floating city. That's the best way that I can really kind of encapsulate what the Symphony of the Seas was
Oh yeah.
like. You have theaters, you have multiple theaters, you have multiple nightlife spots, lounges,
Yep.
multiple places to go eat, multiple places to swim, multiple decks where you can go do different activities like
Just
spas.
hang out, have a
So
coffee,
much.
whatever. What's
So
funny
much.
is just a quick little story is I said, hey Jason, I saw that you could there's like standing room at the water show where that you can
Mhm.
stand up. He's like, oh yeah, there's a little bit like that. He goes, yeah, it's in the back of the ship past the carousel. And I'm like, carousel? There's a carousel
Yeah,
here?
just
He's like,
carousel, yeah.
you haven't seen the carousel yet? I was like, no. What's funny, Sam? It's on deck 6, and that's where my room was. So it's kind
Yeah,
of like I just never even noticed it because I would walk up the
yeah.
stairs and go right to the right to my room,
On
and
the
that was sort of
boardwalk,
in the
yeah.
center. And I went back there and I'm like, wow, there's like a whole nother section.
Yeah.
They have a hot dog stand with free like 5 or 6 different kind of hot dogs you can get. They got a
Johnny
Johnny
Rocket.
Rocket. They got the
Yep.
bar. They got an
Sports
arcade.
bar.
They got the
Yep.
ship. I mean, a whole section of the ship
Yeah.
that it was probably not until day 3 or whatever that I didn't even realize was there. It's so big. It's really incredible.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what we're going to talk about today. I know we brought it up several times, and
Yep.
this is something I talk about a lot, and like we have talked about too, and that is the topic of comfort games.
Yeah.
So so let's talk about first, what does that term mean to you in particular? What a comfort game would be. So go ahead, Sam. So what does comfort game mean to you?
First of all, I just want to say I love that we're putting out and defining our terms at the beginning, as we've
Okay.
talked about that we need to do. I love
Setting
it.
our
I
boundaries.
love it. I love it. Okay, so for me, a comfort game is a game that I have played so much and that I enjoy so much. Playing it again is relaxing. No matter how stressful the game might become because of the different aspects of the game in particular, it is just a game that I can simply enjoy playing. There is a slight little asterisk. I don't even think I care if I win necessarily.
Mhm.
I just want to play the game and watch other people enjoy playing the game. That's what I consider a comfort game. A game that I am so familiar with and I enjoy so much that it is simply relaxing to play. That's what a comfort game is for me.
Wow. What's funny, Sam, is I would almost have to say that would be the definition
Hmm.
because everything you said, literally everything you said is exact. I feel the exact same way
Yeah.
about a cover game. The game that I've played so many times, don't care whether I win or lose. Love introducing it to other people
Yep.
because it's
Yep.
something I love, right? So I love that. And it just makes me feel good. Whether it's the first game I play, I'm bright and shiny, just ate, had my cup of coffee, or it's at 2 o'clock in the morning. It just
Mm.
doesn't matter.
Yep.
Anytime that game gets to the table, it just makes me feel good.
Yeah.
And you know it inside out. And again, so here's one other thing I'd like to add also. Just because it's a comfort game, just because I know it inside out, just because blah 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 blah, doesn't necessarily mean I'm that great at it. Right? It doesn't mean that I'm an excellent player at
Right.
the game,
Yeah.
regardless of how many times I played it. I just love playing the game.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. People tell me all the time, "You must be a pro at playing Blood Rage." No, I get my butt kicked regularly playing Blood Rage. I normally, I if this is one of the times where I wish I keep track of my plays and like BG stats or something like that, because I would love to have some empirical evidence to like throw at people when they say that you must be a pro at playing Blood Rage. I'm like, no, I actually lose more often than not. Second place is the first loser, people. And that's where I usually fall. If I were able to look back in time and look at all of the times that I played Blood Rage, it's probably second or third place where I usually come in, with a lot of fourth place shows and very few first place shows. So yes, absolutely. Just because I enjoy a game and just because I've played it so much, it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to be super good at it. It just
Right.
means that I really enjoy the enthrallment that the game gives me.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
absolutely.
I totally
Absolutely.
agree with that.
Yeah. So, all right. So I guess I'll get started, and we're not gonna go into a review about the game and all that kind of stuff, because a lot of
Nah.
the times we talk about games, we're sort of assuming that people have heard about them or know about the games. And if
Yeah.
you don't, the good thing is you can just go look it up on the internet. But at least you know it means something to us, right? So
Specifically, not just the internet, Board Game Geek is
there you go.
something that should be part of your vocabulary, even if you're just first, kind of baby stepping it into the hobby, because there is such a wealth of information at boardgamegeek.com.
Yep.
And the engine is user friendly now. Didn't used to be. That you had to kind of have a master's degree in Linux at one point to figure out their search engine, but now they've kind of worked the kinks out of it. It's a very user friendly interface. Such such a wealth of information. So boardgamegeek.com. I'm putting the logo up here, right? No, this way, right over here. Go check it out.
Yeah.
If you don't know what it is, go educate yourself on it, because there is so much information there.
Right,
Go
but,
ahead, Tim.
but not only I just want to add the caveat, Sam. Not only is it user friendly, whatever, it's user built, not built, orchestrated, or you know what I mean. It's all the data is put in by users. It's not like a company
Right.
is
Yes.
so. What I'm trying to say is, when you go to Board Game Geek and you learn about games or study games or watch stuff, it's all people who play the game and use it. So you're getting it from the people you're sitting at the table with, or you see at conventions. So it's
Yeah.
all the game players that are
Yes.
putting in the data into Board Game
Community.
Geek. Yeah, yeah. So that's good. Okay, so again, like I said, so the first one, and I'll tell you why it's a comfort game to me, is Castles of Burgundy.
Ooh.
I just love that game. I first
Cool.
learned it at a little Bryce Con up in Bryce Canyon in Utah. It was
Mhm.
by Barbara, actually. I haven't seen her in a while, Barbara and Matt. And I don't know what it is, Sam. It's just something about it. I just love
Hmm.
the combinations. I love the mitigation, right? Because that's one of the big things with me, especially for a dice game, that there has to be a way to mitigate bad rolls, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And Castles of Burgundy does that. And when you have the workers, you can go up or down, mitigate your dice, so you can do what you want to do, right?
Yeah.
Because that's one of the things that sort of maybe pulls you back from games, like you just can't do what you want to do because you have bad dice rolls, whatever. But Castle
Right.
Burgundy lets you do that. I love the fighting for first place to get the first option, moving
Mm.
up in turn order, so you can have first choice at what comes out.
Yeah.
Or if somebody takes your stuff, you're like, oh, I can't believe, oh, what do I do now? It's just everything about the game. And let me tell you, with the special edition version I got sitting right over there,
Mhm.
the deluxe, the minis, I just love the gameplay, love everything about it. I've played it a lot, and again, just like you, I lose more than I win, but every single time I play Castles of Burgundy, I just have a great feeling. I just love
Yeah.
that game.
Yep. That's cool. That's cool. My first one that I'm going to talk about is the art project. This is a new one from the op, and that's one of the reasons why it's my third pick. Because while I have a lot of experience with this game, It is still fairly new. So, but it has already reached the level of like evergreen. I don't think I'm ever going to get rid of it. And it's one of those games that I'm so familiar with. I don't even think that I would need to use the rule book at all anymore. Which is one of those monikers of a game becoming a comfort game for me.
I
If
would
I don't
agree.
have to use the rule book anymore, it's probably within that category now.
Yeah, yeah.
Now I was at I went to Gen Con last year with Love Thy Nerd, and we Love Thy Nerd is a faith-based organization that contracts out to different publishers to help them run their booths. And my assignment was working with the op, and they allowed me to pick what game I taught, and I picked the art project. First of all, it has great artwork with my favorite artist, Vincent Dutrait. Secondarily, there's dice rolling in it, and I love it. Thirdly, it's a cooperative game, so it does really well in gateway type situations. I've just found that cooperative games work well that way because it kind of immediately breaks down that barrier of competition that kind of makes some people nervous in that first gateway type situation. So the cooperative nature of that is really cool, and it's got a really cool theme on it as well. You're basically you're part of the art rescue team where you are rescuing stolen pieces of art from the White Hand terrorist organization. That is, it kind of feels. Did you ever see the movie The Monuments Men? With
No,
like
I know. Yeah, they're recovering from the Nazis, right?
yeah, from the Nazis. Yeah, it had that feel, but it's in a modern setting where you're trying to reclaim some stolen pieces of art, and it's just a great experience. You were talking about, there's dice rolling in this, but you were talking about how the dice need to be mitigated, and art project does that very well. You can mitigate the dice rolls in a number of different ways, or what you need to accomplish things can be mitigated. It's not always a dice roll, but it's just a great experience, and it's definitely one of those games where I taught this game for 7.5 hours a day, 4 days at Gen Con, and I probably could have kept going. That's just how I felt about it. It was so fun. I could have easily just spent all day doing it. Now I would have missed the rest of the convention, but as far as after my shift was over, I wasn't tired at all.
Right.
Yeah, I wanted to walk around and see some other stuff, but I could have kept on going. That's just how I felt with that game because it's such a great game to play, and people were just enjoying it like nobody's business. So that's my number three art project, comfort game.
Yeah, there you go with comfort games. Yeah, I don't again, you just can play them like all day, every day, back and forth 10 times a day.
Yeah,
So I
absolutely.
don't really have mine in order, but this next one is probably my number one. That's probably been on my for the longest. It used to be one of my backpack games. I don't bring it around because it's not an easy game to necessarily teach to people or bring out to people. And
Yeah.
Wendy Yee, if you're watching this, uh, it's a whole nother story. I taught her this game, didn't go well. Anyway, and Wendy stopped making fun of me about this game. Anyway, it's innovation.
Oh.
So those who don't know it, it's a card game by Carl Chudik.
Mhm.
And when people say they don't like randomness in a game, that's all this game is. It is
Uh-oh.
just random chaos. Are you familiar with innovation, Sam?
I've played it in the past, and yes, the randomness definitely was one of those things that I don't have a specific memory about it, but I definitely remember people talking about how random it was.
Yes. And so it's just I just love the game. Love it so much.
Mhm.
And I guess the intriguing thing, why it becomes a comfort game for me, why I it falls into this category for me, is getting out of the situation. Like you're always
Mm.
fighting is just so appealing to me. I love because there have been games I played like if it's two players, you got to get six I forgot whatever they're called, six things to win. I've been
Yeah.
to games where it's been 5-0 and you come back and win. And it's happened to me too, where you just build out or you can get people stuck. I just love constantly it's just digging out and hoping you can mitigate this problem. Like somebody just has you stymied. You're just stuck. There's like nothing you can do, and you're like, oh, I got this card. Not
Yeah.
anymore. You don't got me stuck
Yeah.
anymore.
Right.
It's just the highs and lows, the digging, I just love it. Just
You
love
probably came up with the soundbite of the episode. Constant fighting. I love it.
Yeah, because it's again, it just again those certain terms, like you said, constant fighting, right? It doesn't necessarily sound like that would be appealing or it would be comforting, but whatever it is, it just lights something up within me, just
Sure.
like the
Yep.
struggle. And quick story about that. I got a chance to play on the ship with Andrew, and Andrew and I play because he loves it just as much as I do. Andrew from
Mhm.
Foam Brain. And we played this one game, and we both agreed at the end of the game this was the stupidest game we've ever played of innovation. It was just like the way it played out, it was just stupid, right?
Yeah.
And that's again, like those are people who love the game, right?
Yeah.
Who it's because you can say that about the game you played. You just had this experience which was just ridiculous and stupid, but you still feel good.
Yeah.
It's just wonderful. So please,
Yeah.
any and I'm gonna put this out there, especially about innovation, because again, it's not like a big table game, right? It's just a card game.
Yep.
If you see me at a con or an event and you're like, hey, Tim, let's play innovation, unless I have plans or whatever,
Mhm.
I'm stopping and we're playing.
Yeah.
I'm putting that out there. I love
Yep.
that game.
Yep. That's cool. My second one is probably Memoir 44. Memoir 44 for me is absolutely one of those games that I know it well enough to where I don't have to use the rule book.
Mhm.
You have to use the scenario book because you have to know how to set up the scenarios. You have to put things in the right places and all of that kind of stuff. So you have to do setup. So you have to use the rule book, the scenario book for that at the very least. But other than that, don't I rarely have to look up rules for Memoir 44. And if I do, it's usually what does this terrain feature do? How does this terrain feature work? It's not how to play the game. It's what does this feature have as an effect on the game that I'm trying to do right now. That's usually what I have to look up. That's the kind of stuff. But this is also one of the games that I will plan if I'm going to a convention. I will plan to try to play a game of this with people that are there that I know enjoy playing the game.
Oh yeah, you do a
Um,
Dice Tower West for sure,
I
right?
do. Yeah, me and Patrick. We actually have that's how Patrick and I met was over a game of Memoir 44. It was when it was still MeepleCon, and we were both kind of just walking through the library with about like 30 minutes left before the library was going to close. And he knew that I liked Memoir, and so he said, "Hey, you want to play Memoir?" And I looked at my watch and I was like, "No way, dude! No way can we get a game of Memoir in 30 minutes." He was like, "I think we probably can." And so I was like, "All right, challenge accepted." We checked the game out. 30 minutes left. Sat down, set up a scenario. Boom, 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 boom. Went through the thing and put it all back together. Turned it back in with like a minute left.
Wow.
So that was our first. And so from then on, every single year we play at least one game of Memoir 44 with each other. So it's become a tradition between Patrick and I. But we're also trying to, I don't know if it's going to work out ever, and I think he's a little shy on it because he's tried to set up overlord versions of Memoir 44 at Dice Tower West before, and people just basically quit on him at the last minute. And then he's kind of done all that work for nothing. So, but we've already started talking about the possibility of trying to put that together to get an Overlord game
Nice.
played with like 8 people. But definitely, Memoir is one of those games where, like you were saying earlier with innovation, if somebody asks me to play, um, even if it's a teach, because it's one of those comfort games that I don't really have. It's so easy to teach for me.
Mhm.
Um, even if it's a teach, if I don't have anything to do, if I'm not on my way to go do something or something like that, I'll usually agree to play it because it's just an enjoyable experience every time it hits the table for me.
Fantastic. And but the one thing, 'cause we're running short on time, but I just wanted to bring up the unfortunately with Memoir 44, and correct me if I'm wrong here, is they aren't sort of putting out new material, right? So you're sort of losing a little bit of your fan base or people who are familiar with the game, right? Because it's sort of
It's yeah,
dying,
it's
right? As
definitely
far as like being out there in the public mind, right? Or eye.
right. Well, I think they're still producing the base game. Some of the
Right,
expansions and some of the expansion material that's kind of going by the wayside. There's a lot of expansion stuff that's out of print at this point,
right,
but they are. If I, I don't really have my finger on the pulse of that community very well. I just really enjoy the game. But if from what I'm hearing, they are continuing to print the base game and some of the expansion materials. So it is still available, albeit it's probably harder to get a hold of than something that's new.
right.
But it is still out there and accessible, which is a moniker in and of itself about how good a game it is.
Right. No, absolutely. So yeah, so my last one, and I love this genre. I know we've talked about it before. We talked about it a little bit earlier. You mentioned Bomb Busters. I had a chance to
Yep.
play it on the cruise as well.
Yeah.
Fantastic game, fully cooperative game with hidden information. And
Yep.
you did mention when you were talking about your definition of comfort games, whether or not the game is stressful, it can still be a comfort game.
Yeah.
So this game falls into that. The cooperative, hidden information, stressful, and that is Hanabi.
Oh,
I have
okay.
played Hanabi hundreds of times in person. I'm not one of those BGA people, right? I don't play online. I play my games in person.
Right.
You know what I mean? So when I
It
say I
blows
play,
my mind. Yeah, I've got like 500 plays of this on BGA. I'm like, dude, you need a life.
yeah,
That's what
exactly.
you
Yeah,
need.
I feel the same way. No, I play my games. I don't. Yeah. So, but Hanabi can be stressful to a lot of people. Um, but I just, to me, uh, the what I love so much about Hanabi is the trust, right?
Mm,
Because when you're playing a cooperative game like Hanabi, and somebody quote unquote tells you something, right, by giving a clue that's allowed within the game, right?
yeah. Yeah.
You just have to fully trust them because you're trying to win the game together that they're
Mhm.
giving you the information. So you have to believe them. And you
Yeah.
hope the same from yourself, right? If I tell you something, give you a clue, you should trust me that that information I'm telling you. So I just love how getting people together and creating that bond of trust, right? We
Yeah.
have to really trust each other because the information is limited. And just real quick, for people who know about Hanabi, you can't see, and I call myself a Hasnabi because I only play with the tiles. I don't play with the cards anymore. So you can't see your hand, right, of
Yeah.
tiles or
Right.
cards. Only everybody else playing the game can see your information. So you have to just trust them. And that just makes me feel good,
Yeah.
especially when you win the game. It's like, wow, we trusted each other, we listened to each other, we believed each other, and we won the it's just such a good feeling. I
Yep.
that's one of the games when I go to the gathering, play like late into the morning till 5, 6 in the morning, late at night with my roommate Aos from Australia. Shout out to Aos. Um,
Mhm.
I just, yeah, Hanabi is again a very dear comfort game to me.
Yep. Trust works in cooperative games.
And you know,
Yep.
Sam, a lot of times people that's hard for people. I've noticed in cooperative games.
Well,
They
yeah, because they're used to social deduction games where trust is trampled upon and decimated. I don't
it's
trust
hard,
anybody anymore.
it's hard for people to do that sometimes. And it's kind of like, no, please trust me. We're working together. I want the same outcome as you do. You got to trust me.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
don't believe you.
I,
My last one is everybody probably knew it was coming is Blood Rage.
of
I
course, yeah, yeah.
man, this is such I don't even care if I lose. That's how much I love playing this game. I do not care. I do my best to try to win, but if I get trounced because I gave this guy the card and he figured out how to use it and maximize it along with the other cards that he already got, fine and dandy. I love watching the game work the way it was supposed to. A lot of people talk about how they can't enjoy the game because it's got the one mechanism, the Loki mechanic the Loki strategy that is just so powerful. And I'm like, no way. That's why this game is so good. You have to actively work against the Loki strategy. You have to actively try to get that strategy to work for you. And if it's not working for you, you have to figure out who's trying to use it so you can stop them. And it's not the only strategy for winning. You can win so many
Right.
different ways. You can get a lot of points with so many different ways. The Loki strategy is just the more prolific. It's actually the easiest way to get points if nobody's watching what's going on. And I think that's why it takes so much flack, is because the Loki strategy, in my opinion, is the easiest to run, and it's also the easiest to pick up on who's going to try to do it. So if somebody wins with the Loki strategy, and again, this is my opinion, that and $5 will get you a cup of coffee at the local coffee shop. So I get it, but there's different strokes for different folks. But I love this game so much, and more often than not, there are always like little nuances. Like for me, it's remembering how many cards we start with at the beginning of the games. There's so many different games out there that start with so many different numbers of cards, and it's like,
Right.
do we start with 4 or 5? I can't remember. Well, you deal 8 in Blood Rage, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But you only draft 6, so it's one of those things where but still, I usually, like, somebody was asking me to play Blood Rage on the cruise, and I told them, yes, we gotta get it together. I will absolutely be, and it didn't work out. And it's actually it's probably one of the last, the cruise was one of the last conventions that I went to that I wasn't having to spend a lot of time doing something else that I didn't play Blood Rage at. Because more
Okay.
often than not, I will usually find a way to play Blood Rage at a convention.
Right.
If and there's been some conventions where I played it multiple times. So I just really enjoy Blood Rage as a game. It's so fun. I love card drafting. I love the area control. I love the variable player powers and how you can build your clan and make it totally different than everybody else's. So much fun in that game. I love it so much. So it's definitely my number one comfort game.
Oh, there you go. Well, yeah, I mean, now because those that I knew about you for sure. That how much you really love Blood Rage. And
Yeah.
folks out there, listen, please do us a favor. Write in the comments
Mm,
below. What are some of your comfort games? Because again, like we had talked about before about people telling us what kind of games you like because that tells us something about you. And I
yep.
think the choices we've made are letting people know what are our comfort games, right? That can tell people a little bit about us, the kind of
Yeah.
games we like, the kind of interactions we like, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, so
Mhm.
write in the comments what you think are, or not what you think, what are some of your comfort games, so we can take a look at those.
Yep.
And last, before
Absolutely.
we go, because we got to close this up here, is it's coming up close. So in Dice Tower West, right,
Yeah.
March 5th through 9th. Just so
Yep.
you know, it's just about less than a month from today. So February 16th, I believe it is the last day to buy online badges. After
Oh.
that, you can transfer. You can still buy at the door. It's $25 more at the door. But please go to dicetowerwest.com right now to get your badge to
Yep.
come to a great convention. Sam is going to be there. All the Dice Tower crew, even Brian. I believe Mark will be there too. So pretty much like Tom is really, we're trying to bring all the Dice Tower people and everything together. So you'll
Yeah.
have a great chance to really play games, interact with all of the Dice Tower crew. Um, be at a great convention. We're doing a lot of really cool things, but also you have Las Vegas. You get to come, have great food, see great shows. It's a
And,
great time.
and it's at the Westgate this year, right?
It is. Yes, it is.
And
And
that's also on the strip, right?
yes and no. Yes, technically it is, right? Because people, when they say the
On the
strip,
same road. It's on the same road, but not where everybody thinks the strip is the strip, right?
no, because it's not technically on Las Vegas Boulevard. It's a block off.
Okay. All
However,
right.
it is on the strip, Sam. Thank you for bringing that up because it is connected by the tram. So, yes, you just walk up to the front in the Westgate, get on the tram, and it brings you right down. You can go all the way down to MGM over there at Tropicana and Las Vegas Boulevard.
Cool.
So yeah, you're connected to the strip by being at the Westgate. It's a great location, great
Awesome.
venue. But
Yep.
again, thank you everybody for joining us for another episode, and we'll be back with some more talking about different things. And also, if you have any interesting topics you would like us to bring up, please
Yes.
put those in the comments as well.
Please do.
Yes, please do. But Sam, as always, it's great hanging out with you, talking to you.
Absolutely.
Really a lot of fun. But for now, folks, until next time, I'm Tim from Las Vegas.
I'm Stan from the Pacific Northwest. We'll see you guys and gals on the flip side.
All right, take care, guys. Bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you like this review or whatever you just watched, wasn't it amazing? Check out our channel, Dice Tower. We have all kinds of things. We review games, we do top 10s, we play games live. It's all about board games, but especially the people who play them. Check out Dice Tower YouTube channel.